Welcome everybody to another session of Read with Me. And again, today we're reading Rewire by Richard O'Connor, and this is about how you can rewire your brain and break bad habits and live the life you want to live. This is going to be a 30-minute session. I encourage you to sit down with me, read with me, and that way you can hold yourself accountable. So, I'm going to do a quick recap before I start. In the last time, we talked about how we have a couple of defenses such as fears from our childhood and other stuff that actually holds us back subconsciously. And it's important to understand those fears and defenses from a childhood, because if they're ingrained in your source code right down here, it's gonna everything you're gonna build upon is gonna be on that bad code. So you have to change that before you can start changing your life. And the number one step is to being aware, living in not in impulses, living not moment to moment, but kind of living in more mindfulness. So Richard encouraged us to practice more mindfulness so we can go ahead and actually start changing our lives. So let's get our 30-minute session started. everybody. Our 30-minute reading session is over. And I appreciate you sitting here with me and listening to this beautiful music in the back and me reading a book. I thoroughly enjoy it. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave me a comment. But if that's what you were here for, good. Go have a great day. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little recap on what we read today by um, in Richard's book called Rewire. So the first step of actually rewiring your brain is understanding what you're doing wrong, right? If you're doing the same thing again and again, you're not going to get a different result. So you have to first understand what you are doing in order for you to start changing what you're going to do. So Richard talks about how a lot of times we are against ourselves. We talked about it in the last session, last chapter. But he here talks about like our own little inside that's fighting us. And often that's anger. That's being too nice. So when he talks about anger, stuff's going to happen to us. Stuff's going to happen to our childhood. Stuff's going to happen when we're at work. And often this anger is misdirected and we destroy ourselves with that anger. Hey, somebody said something to me. It took him 2 seconds to say it, but now I'm internalizing saying that to myself again and again for the next, 72 hours. So it creates that 2 second moment again and again for 72 hours and destroys you inside. And one of the things Richard recommends is you need to be mindful of that anger and try to take it out in productive ways. So, for example, I'm going to give you my example. Somebody makes me upset and I'm angry. I go out, I do physical exercise. I go out, maybe do some jiu-jitsu, something that gets that frustration out and can be actually productive to me instead of being destructive. He also talks about how when you try to be too nice, you're lying to yourself in a sense that you internalize your anger, try to please other people, and you're lying to yourself. And internally, you're lying to yourself, and that comes out in bizarre ways. One of the examples he gave was the Milgram experiments, where there was a person who was strapped to a chair, given electric shocks by random people. And those random people were told, hey, it's okay to give them shocks because the person giving instructions was in a lab coat, gave it a sense of authority, gave them a sense of, hey, they know what they're doing. And when people were told later on about this experiment, they said, oh, no, it's the person sitting in the chair's fault because they were not listening. Because what happened is every time they would give a shock, for example, a 10-volt shock, the person in the lab coat would be like, okay, increase it. And the person in the chair is screaming. They're like, oh my God, this hurts. But the person in the lab coat's like, no, they're okay. Keep on going more and more and more. So when they asked, hey, why keep on giving more? Oh, it's the person's fault in the chair. It's not my fault. So we often blame other people that we have wronged, especially people who are internalizing a lot of anger and resentment and are living on impulsivity. Doesn't hurt to step back and be like, is that what I really did? Or do I have to defend my bad actions? And one of the great things I think Richard recommends in this is create a list of stuff that your brain tells you you're bad at. Hey, I'm fat. I can't do this. I'm terrible at this. I drink too much. Whatever that is for you, get a pen and paper and write it down and burn it. And burn it as many times as you need to. 1 time, 2 times, 10 times. Because first you need to get that out of your head. And the only way for me that has worked to get out of the head is writing it on pen and paper. And then burning that crap. I've done that so many times. And then taking time to, again, it's the same pattern we see in every session, is understanding yourself. You have to get out of that impulsivity. Documenting. Mindfulness, I think, are great tools for you to get out of that immediate state and have a bigger picture, because this is your goal. You're living in immediate, right? Right now you're living for what you're doing right now. But at the same time, you want to have that broad view of life, because you only have one life. You don't get 20, you don't get 30. We're not cats, we get 9 lives. You get one life. And if you look at it carefully, the first 25 years of your life are gone anyways, because you don't know what you're doing. And the last 25, you're just going to be survival. So you got 50 years of your life, and out of the 50 years, you're going to spend at least third of that sleeping. Third of that. So technically, you only have 20 or 30 years of life. And if you live on impulsivity, you're not going to be able to enjoy this beautiful, beautiful thing given to you by whoever you believe in. But this is given to you. Out of the trillions and trillions of organisms, you're human. Somebody who can think, somebody who can rationalize, somebody who can think beyond their immediate senses. This is a present given to you that if we live in impulsivity, and I'm not saying I'm something special. I've done it time to time. I live in impulsivity, but it's going back and kind of realizing, okay, it's time to go back and kind of enjoy this life. And especially when I practice mindfulness, it tends to help me a lot living my life to the fullest. So, well, hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you in the next session. Have a great day. If you like this video, go ahead and like it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye-bye.